All right, we'll go ahead and get going this morning. Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. This morning we have Christina Pay and Andrea Schmutz, and they're presenting on growth mindset for us. Christina Pay is an assistant professor for Utah State University Extension in Carbon County. She earned a master's degree in health education from Western Governors University. Her areas of focus include strengthening family relationships, promoting healthy lifestyles, and supporting positive youth development through 4-H. Christina is passionate about doing her part in helping fulfill the mission of Extension, that of providing programming and resources that will help improve the lives of individuals and families in her community and throughout Utah. She is married to her best friend, Steve, and they have 6 children and 12 grandchildren. Andrea is an assistant professor for Utah State University Extension in Washington County with assignments in family and consumer science and 4-H youth development. She earned a master's degree in recreation management and youth leadership from Brigham Young University and is passionate about the benefits of outdoor recreation. Andrea strives to utilize innovative programming in her work with youth and families of Washington County to teach sustainability, youth development, and healthy living skills. Thank you so much, Christina and Andrea, for being here. I'm going to just go ahead and turn the time over to you.
Great. Am I able to share my screen? It looks like yes.
Yes,
okay.
You should be able to.
Okay. Give me 1 second here. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for having us today, and we're excited to be here to talk with you all about growth mindset. This is a presentation that we've done in quite a few places and in different arenas. So we're really excited to be able to do this for our Create Better Health ambassadors and all those who work in Create Better Health. So thanks for having us, and we will get started.
Okay, so nothing like starting out the morning staring at a picture of delicious looking brownies and ice cream. So hopefully you guys are a little hungry when maybe you didn't eat breakfast yet or you ate an early one, but we want to grab your attention with this idea of these delicious foods that we can combine to make something even more delicious, because that's kind of how we approach this presentation. So we're going to first talk about things that are kind of like the brownies, kind of like the foundation. And it will be things that you can do in your own lives, things that you can think about. And then we'll throw the ice cream on top to complete that brownie sundae and kind of incorporate some things and explain the benefits of doing using a growth mindset attitude and approach with the clients with whom you work. And so in the end, hopefully you'll have the whole brownie sundae. And if we were in person, I really would bake you brownies, but I do have a little disclaimer. My favorite brownies actually come from a box. And so maybe you're glad you're not going to get some of my brownies. But anyway, okay. So with that said, we're going to jump right in. Hopefully you guys have a piece of paper, like a scratch paper and a pencil that you can grab, because we're going to take this little quiz so that you can sort of see where you are and get you in a frame of mind where you're thinking about how much you know about growth mindset and where you fall in that spectrum. So, oh, Heidi distracted me. She's saying something about box brownies or ooey and gooey. I can't read the whole message yet. Sorry, you're distracting me, Heidi. Come on. Okay, I love brownies. But anyway, we're going to go through this quiz, and Christine and I will read each statement to kind of help pace it a little bit. But please make sure that you notice if you strongly agree on everything or strongly disagree, realize that the values of those decisions change on each statement. So don't just automatically go and write down a bunch of 1s or 2s, because they kind of flip-flop. So it's a little, we're trying to keep you on your toes as you fill out these answers. So we'll read the statement, go with the very first thought that comes to your mind. Don't overanalyze it, I guess is what I'm saying. Just go with your gut, write down whether you strongly agree, whatever, and then we'll add them up at the end. Okay, so let's just get started. So your intelligence is something very basic about you that you can't change very much. So you can choose strongly agree, disagree, or strongly disagree.
No matter how much intelligence you have, you can always change it quite a bit.
Only a few people will be truly good at sports. You have to be born with the ability.
The harder you work at something, the better you'll be.
I often get angry when I get feedback about my performance.
I appreciate when people, parents, coaches, or teachers give me my feedback about my performance.
Truly smart people do not need to try hard.
You can always change how intelligent you are.
You are a certain kind of person, and there is not much that can be done to really change that.
An important reason why I do my schoolwork is that I enjoy learning new things. Okay, take a moment now and total up your points, and then take a look at the screen and see where you fall on the growth mindset score chart. Are you surprised with where you fell? Are you where you would like to be? Or do you wonder what all of this even means? Now that we know where we are on the growth mindset spectrum, we might ask ourselves, what is a growth or a fixed mindset? Mindset is defined as the established set of attitudes held by someone. So a fixed mindset believes that talents, abilities, and qualities are carved in stone and can't change. You were born with them, and that's all you've got, that's it. Dr. Guy Winch wrote, the concept of failure poses such a significant psychological threat to the human mind that our motivation to avoid failure has become even stronger than our motivation to succeed. That's a fixed mindset. A growth mindset person believes the basic qualities such as talents and intelligence can be cultivated through their efforts. Carol Dweck, who is the author of the book Mindset, where most of our ideas have come from, said, in a growth mindset, people believe that their most basic abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. Brains and talents are just the starting point. This view creates a love of learning and a resilience that is essential for great accomplishments.
Okay, so you've got the definitions. So what does that mean in your life? This is what we're going to talk about thing. We're going to run through how fixed and growth mindset view some of these things, and then we'll go into a little more discussion in a minute. So when it comes to challenges, a fixed mindset person would avoid challenges, whereas a growth mindset would embrace those challenges. For obstacles, fixed mindset gives up easily. Growth mindset is persistent, even in the face of the setbacks. For effort, fixed mindset folks see effort as fruitless, it's not worth it. Whereas a growth mindset see that effort as the path to mastering something. For criticism, this is kind of a big one because we all hear it in our lives, but fixed mindset chooses to ignore the useful negative feedback, whereas a growth mindset, they actually can learn from the criticism that they receive. And then when it comes to the success of others, someone with a fixed mindset often feels threatened by others' successes, whereas in a growth mindset, people find lessons and inspiration in the success of those around them. And so just with those quick summaries, kind of think about where you fall, your points on the little quiz we did, the definitions Christina gave, and then just those quick key points about the different ways fixed and growth mindset approach things, and think about where you are, and just realize that if you're finding yourself in a fixed mindset category, it's okay, because you can change. The thing I love about mindset is it's fluid. It's not, doesn't just sit there, like it's constantly changing. One day I might wake up and I might have a growth mindset about a certain issue that I'm dealing with, and that's super helpful. And then the next day I might wake up and I might have a fixed mindset. So it goes back and forth. It's something we have to work on, but just know that you can change, and it's a process they call reframing. So I love this picture of this little dog because it's like he's got these lenses on so that he can see things a little more clearly and maybe see them a different way. So studies show that when somebody shifts from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, the result is often increased motivation and achievement. And I don't know about you guys, but those are two things that I could often, I love when I feel accomplished, and having motivation is a super bonus in our work because it pays to be motivated to get things happening. But we really do need to be aware of which of our thoughts fall into that fixed mindset, because if we're not aware of that, then it is hard to change and to try to shift our view. So once we are aware and we understand how we're seeing a certain topic or issue or challenge in our lives, then we can grab our little lenses, put on our growth mindset lenses, and start to view it with a growth mindset. And it will make all the difference in how we approach things. So we're going to actually go talk about some different topics a little more in depth. Some of them are the same ones from that list before, but kind of each of us might face, whether it's in our jobs or in our family lives, personal lives, just day to day.
Heather asked the question, is it possible to be both?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I think that there are some things, I don't know if on the same issue, like from day to day, you might flip flop back and forth, right? You might have a fixed mindset one day and then shift yourself into that growth mindset and find yourself pulling back into a fixed mindset, because sometimes I think it's just overwhelming trying to make these changes. But yeah, I think we're all a little bit of both. I mean, you might know somebody who just has a fantastically great growth mindset about everything. There are a few people out there in the world like that. And I tell you, I sure admire them, because that's awesome. But yeah, just know that you might be a growth mindset one day, and don't be discouraged if another day you feel more like you're in that fixed mindset thing. That's the joy of it. It's something that we can always be working on, but it does come back down to that awareness. Good question though.
Okay, let's look at thoughts on skills. A fixed mindset operates out of fear, and that fear is a fear of failure. A fixed mindset is afraid that no matter what they do, they're going to fail. So a fixed mindset says that skills are set and unchangeable. If you're not born with a certain set of skills, you're just out of luck. You're not going to have them. Whereas a growth mindset, I have to remember to do the slides, tells us that new skills can be learned with hard work, effort, and training.
Okay, so feedback. Sometimes we hear of this as criticism. I do like the word feedback a little bit better. Helps me have a growth mindset when I view it as feedback. But what happens when you receive feedback? Think about it. Just think personally. Could have been when you were a kid, could be right now, could be when you're having like a performance review with a supervisor. How do you think of it? Do you feel like it's a personal attack? I know that there are days, going back to Heather's question about being fixed or growth mindset, there are days that I feel like I'm being attacked. And then, especially since Christine and I have been focusing on this whole topic, it's been really great for my thought processes, because I have to think, wait a minute, that person's not attacking me. They're just trying to help me do a better job or be a better mom. Maybe it's my kids that said something to me. But do you kind of take that criticism or feedback and think of it as a failure, or think of it as, I just can't do anything right? That would be a fixed mindset. Now, a growth mindset would approach it from the standpoint of, okay, they're trying to help me. Yeah, I could see where I could improve in that. And maybe even ask some questions, maybe evaluate the feedback. I think it's important to remember too, that everybody is entitled to their own opinions. And so you have to kind of sift through that and keep a growth mindset about it. Somebody may give you some feedback and you don't have to agree with all of it, but really take a minute to evaluate it and see if it is an area that you might want to apply it. And then with that growth mindset, we come up with a solution to try to improve that area, or to try to do better, or stop doing something. Whereas that fixed mindset is going to say, you know what, they just don't think I can do anything. So keep that growth mindset, especially when it comes to the feedback and what we call criticism, because quite often there are things we can learn from it.
And Heidi put in the chat that sometimes people are a bit harder to take criticism from. That's really true. And also some days are just hard, or, way harder than others. And so it's going to hit us differently. So yeah, good points. Okay. Thoughts on competition. I know in Extension, it's a very competitive field. And there's areas in our life that are also really competitive. So does the success of others leave you feeling inferior, threatened, or envious? Are you intimidated by successful projects and feel that you could not possibly ever create anything that successful? This is the fear talking, and fear, as we learned, is part of a fixed mindset. A growth mindset will encourage us to be inspired by the success of others. And it will allow us to seek out those people and ask them, what did you do that helped you succeed in this? And then we can learn from that and take those things into our own lives. So a growth mindset encourages us to reach out and learn from others' success.
Okay, failure. I feel like I got some of the hard ones, Christina. I don't know.
You got the green. Okay, you just got green.
That's my fixed mindset. Okay, I want you guys to think for a minute. Let's get you involved for a second. Think of a time that something happened that you would consider a failure. Some of them we don't want to remember, some we've blocked out, you know. But does anybody want to share or throw in the chat how they, like a fixed mindset, your thoughts on failure would mean that you think you can't do it, that you know you're never going to be good at it, you just give up, you don't keep trying. But do you guys does anybody have an experience when they faced failure and they were able to approach it with a growth mindset and flip it around and learn from it and then make it a positive experience, or attempt it again and succeed because of what you learned the first time? Because I'm thinking some of you guys teach some tough classes, and I'm kind of thinking that sometimes you walk away feeling like it might have been a failure, but you're all still here. So that's good, right? That means we're learning. Okay, I tried to wake them up, but that's all right. I'll just tell them my thoughts on failure. I'm watching the chat, but
people don't like to reflect on their failures.
and that's true. So just be thinking in your own mind. We won't call you out on it or anything. But so the fixed mindset person would be afraid to try again, maybe walk away from that experience. And you know, just kind of say, I'm not good at that, I'm going away. Whereas the growth mindset, sometimes they're the ones that are more determined to just tackle it again and then take what they learned the first time, apply it. Think about the inventors, right? Thomas Edison, some of these people, if they gave up the first time they failed, there'd be a lot of things we wouldn't have right now. But my favorite comment about that deals with failure is Winston Churchill. And I'm just going to read you this quote that he said. He said, "Success is going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm." Okay, to me, that's the epitome of growth mindset. You fail again, but you don't lose the enthusiasm. You keep trying and you're determined to make it happen or make it better or whatever the case is. Jocelyn put something in the chat about, oh, there it is. I think about the line, perfect is the enemy of done. Okay. Oh, now we're getting some comments. So there's Heidi. She said, you guys can read it, I guess, but feeling over Tuesday.
Do you want me to read it? Heidi said, a week or so ago, I was very overwhelmed. It was Tuesday, that was Monday. And because something's happened, it set my day off. And I felt like a failure. I had so much to do, but ended up taking the day off. And then Jocelyn said, I guess this the quote that she shared, meaning if I wait for something to be perfect, I'll never do it or try.
That's really true. I catch myself, and that's kind of that fixed mindset because we're afraid to fail, right? Which is normal. That's human. Please don't take that as a criticism at all. It's just acknowledging our humanness.
And Laura commented about feedback. She says, I think it depends on how the feedback is delivered. Growing up, feedback was delivered to feel like criticism, and my in-laws have taught me how to deliver feedback in a kinder way.
That's awesome. And that's kind of having a growth mindset about being the person who gives the feedback and seeing it through a different lens. That's awesome, Laura.
Oh, I'm failing again on my growth mindset saying, Christina, you got to do better at this. Okay, so let's look at challenges. Everyone faces challenges. Nobody gets out of this life without challenges, and sometimes they're enormous, and everyone who has those enormous challenges may feel like they are mountains that need to be climbed. A fixed mindset will keep us at the base of the mountain, afraid to even attempt to begin to climb the mountain for fear of failing to make it to the top. This mindset spends their lives avoiding difficult challenges and tasks. They just sit there at the bottom of the mountain looking up and say, I can't do it. And so I'm not even going to try. Whereas a growth mindset embraces challenges. Actually, they love challenges because they see them as an opportunity to learn and to develop and to grow as an individual. So they take that mountain, they might do it a step at a time, and they might have a few slide backs, but they keep going. They don't give up because they see it as an opportunity for growth.
Okay, so knowledge. Oh yeah, Kathy's like a step ahead of us. Kathy says some of the information we're asked to share with our constituents is imperative it be accurate, like for pressure canning.
Mhm.
Some days I just let my phone go to voicemail because I don't want the pressure. Okay, see, we're all human.
Yeah.
No, but that's what we're about to talk about is knowledge. So Kathy, I totally hear you on that. A fixed mindset doesn't want to admit when they don't know something, or maybe they just, they don't have the knowledge about something. But like in that quiz that we did at the beginning, it says, I believe that my intelligence is said it can't be changed, or I think there was a question about that. But I get the pressure, Kathy, so I'm not critiquing that. But when it comes to knowledge in our jobs, we are expected to know everything, right? And as you guys are out there teaching about nutrition, some of you don't have a formal education background on nutrition. A lot of what you know is you've learned in your own life, or you've learned studying for this job. But people think that we're all registered dietitians the minute we say we're going to help them understand nutrition. At least that's how I kind of see it. And so with a fixed mindset, we're afraid to tell them, I don't really know that. But if we can have a growth mindset on this, I think there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know, but let's find out. I think some people, they really don't even know where to go to find the answers. And that's the beauty of our jobs. We have each other as resources. We have our curriculum, we have our protocol manuals, we have a lot of resources at our fingertips. And I don't want to say it's easy for us to find the answers, because sometimes we have to really dig. But I don't think it's a problem. This is where I really try to keep a growth mindset, because there's a lot of things, as Kathy put, like the stuff where we have to give them accurate information, or we could cause botulism or something down the road. And it's important that we have that right information. So there have been times when I've had to say, I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I really want to confirm it so that I don't lead you astray. Can I call you back in 20 minutes, or can I call you back tomorrow? And I have yet to have somebody be upset about that. They're like, oh, thanks for finding out for me. Like, usually they're really excited that I'm willing to get the right information if I don't already have it. So I think in our jobs, this is a super important area to keep in mind, a growth mindset, just because we're all still learning. But people do view us as the end all know all because we're extensions. So just remember, it's okay to say that you need to learn too, and just make sure you get the information back to them. Don't hoard it, I guess is the thing.
Success. The author Debbie Millman said, if you imagine less, less will be what you undoubtedly deserve. Success from the view of a fixed mindset would fit within those who imagine less. They believe that abilities determine success and are static givens and can't ever be changed. They'll never be successful. Ms. Millman continued, do what you love and don't stop until you can get what you love. Work as hard as you can, imagine immensities. A growth mindset would embrace this way of thought. Whoops, go back one. Because they believe that abilities can change and can grow with hard work and effort. And those are the things that drive success. If Henry Hines had stopped after his first of many failures, including a bankruptcy, believing that it just wasn't in him to succeed, we wouldn't have ketchup. Isn't that like the American condiment, ketchup? And if Thomas Edison had believed that he did not have the ability within himself to create a light bulb, we would all still be in the dark. Both understood that establishing a work ethic and putting forth effort would help them. 1,000 mistakes later, Edison did succeed. Thank goodness. I don't like the dark.
Okay, so now what? That's kind of like the brownies, right? That's the foundation of our brownies sundae. I want you guys to think for a minute. We talk about COVID all the time, so we won't harp on that, but it's a perfect opportunity to kind of think about fixed and growth mindset, because we all went into it with a different approach, and we observed other people. I know with our programming and stuff, there were people that adopted a growth mindset right away and like, sweet, I can work on the videos I've wanted to do, or I can learn how to do this skill because I can't go with my traditional way. But then there were other people, myself included, with a little bit more of a fixed mindset. I thought, I did not get this job to do videos, right? And I kind of dug in my heels for a minute. So think about some of those situations and try to picture in your mind people you know that had a growth mindset. And maybe it was you, or people that had the fixed mindset, and think about how you watched that evolve. Some people stayed with a fixed mindset and were miserable all through COVID. Some people slowly shifted. They put on their little growth mindset lenses and they shifted, and they were able to eventually work their way into things that would work with the new circumstances. The thing that's important to remember is that we're going to be faced with challenges all the time. Like, we live in an ever-changing world, new technology, new things happening, new pandemics, whatever. And these challenges are going to pop up frequently. So we can just sit back and say, I got a growth. I mean, I've got a fixed mindset. That's the way it is. I was only hired to do this. It's just how it's going to be. Or we can adopt that growth mindset. We can put on our cute little glasses like that cute little puppy in the picture earlier. And we can say, okay, how can I approach this? How can I make it happen? You know, what can I learn from it? Things like that. And we can treat the challenges that are always popping up as new opportunities to collaborate with different people or new things to learn. So why would it be important to have a growth mindset? Just quickly, there are studies that show that a growth mindset helps foster resilience, which is huge, right? That's the ability to bounce back in the face of challenge, determination, a work ethic, and then improved achievement. And I don't know about you guys, but in the people that I work with and in my community, these are all things that I would love to help cultivate, because I think it just helps us enjoy life a little more. It makes us better people, a better community. And these are all qualities that I think are super valuable. So with the growth mindset, we can help foster these things.
Research tells us that our brains develop during learning, no matter our age. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to form and reform new neural connections in response to our experiences. Certain experiences cause new connections to form or strengthen, making the brain smarter by literally rewiring it. And this process should keep us excited and wanting us to continually learn, especially when we know we can become smarter by rewiring our brains through study and practice. It's rather like lifting weights. When you want your muscles to become stronger, you lift weights. The brain needs those same challenges and new experiences, which act like weights in a gym, to help your brain grow smarter and stronger. We can include in our lives challenges that will stretch our brains and rewire them, making them stronger and smarter. And I think, you know, as Andrea mentioned before, those of you who are teaching nutrition and maybe did not have a whole lot of nutrition background, as you have studied and learned, you have developed that, and your brain has strengthened and become stronger because you've had to learn those things. And we've talked about that even just, you know, in the things we do in extension. We have to learn a lot, and it's good for our brains. Anyone who wants to drive a taxi in London has to spend many years studying the thousands of winding, irregular streets of the city. Scientists decided to study London taxi drivers because they give their brains such a workout, learning from the maps. And this is just a little piece of a map. Can you imagine? Scientists hypothesize that the part of the brain responsible for spatial memory, the hippocampus, might be larger in taxi drivers compared to other Londoners. And as it turns out, they were right. And that's exactly what they found. On top of that, the longer a person had been a taxi driver, the bigger their hippocampus had grown. When we understand that the brain can get smarter, no matter the age, those who have developed a growth mindset do better because they have an empowering perspective on learning. They focus on improvement and see effort as a way to build those abilities.
Okay, so, you know, we're talking about having the foundation. These things we're talking about now are things that we can do to encourage other people to have a growth mindset. So sometimes you can just, oh, go ahead.
It's the ice cream.
Yes, the ice cream on top. I couldn't remember if I said that or not because I've been thinking about the brownies so much. But anyway, we work with a lot of different people and we can help cultivate these growth mindsets as we in the responses that we choose to give people and how we approach different things. And like with Christina, sometimes I even take the time to explain to people, look, the more you learn, it might feel difficult, but you're helping your brain grow. And I think some people need to know the why we're learning more. Some people just need to be praised for, their efforts, whatever. But there's this video right here we're going to show you in a second. And it was a study conducted with 5th graders. And they kind of did a study on when we praise people, how important it is to praise the process and not the person. And that's part of helping develop that growth mindset. So let's watch the video, and it kind of explains itself. It's really kind of fabulous.
They gave all the kids a really, really easy nonverbal IQ test. There were 10 questions, and at the end of the test, they praised all the children in one of 2 ways. The first group was praised for their intelligence. So they said, "Wow, great job. You must be really smart at this." Now the second group was praised for their effort. So they said, "Wow, great job. You must have worked really, really hard at this." Now this is a really subtle difference, but the impact it had is incredible. So after praising the kids and getting them divided up into the 2 groups, they gave them all an option for their next test. The first option was, hey, this next test is going to be a little bit harder, but it's going to be a great opportunity to learn and grow. Now the second option was, this next test will be similar to the first and you will surely do well on it. Now the interesting thing is, out of the group that was praised for their intelligence, 67% of them chose the easier option, while 92% of the kids who were praised for their effort chose the harder test. This is unbelievable to think about, how just the subtle difference in the way that they were praised had such an impact. Carol Dweck explains why this happens.
Child or adult hears, "Oh, you think I'm brilliant and talented. That's why you admire me. That's why you value me. I better not do anything that will disprove this evaluation." As a result, they enter a fixed mindset, they play it safe in the future, and they limit the growth of their talents. Whereas focusing on the strategies they use, the way they're stretching themselves and taking on hard tasks, the intense practice they're doing, those are the kinds of things that say to a child or an older athlete, it's about the process of growth. As a result, they don't feel, oh, if I make a mistake, you won't think I'm talented. They think, oh, if I don't take on hard things and stick to them, I'm not going to grow.
Next, Dweck and her colleagues gave all the kids a really, really difficult test. It was one that they would surely fail, but they wanted to look at how the different kids attacked this challenge. Dweck noticed that the group that was praised for effort worked harder, longer, and actually enjoyed this test more than the group that was praised for their intelligence. This group got really frustrated with this test and had the tendency to give up early. After this artificially induced failure round, all of the kids were given a third and final test. Now this test was the same level of difficulty as the first one, but check out the results. The group that was praised for their intelligence actually did worse on this test than the first one. Their average score actually dropped by 20%, while the group that was praised for their effort did significantly better, raising their average score by nearly 30%. This is a 50% difference in performance that was caused by a few subtle differences in the way that they were praised.
Okay, so pretty impactful, right? I think as we work with different people, as we teach different of our clients and stuff, I think this is an area that we could actually have an impact on how they come away, even though they're not 5th graders, all of them. But so this is a little practice to kind of show the comparison between person praise and process praise. So if somebody did really, really well, instead of saying, great job, you must be smart at this, how could we praise that process? Anybody want to throw something in the chat or unmute and speak up? We'd be happy to have you do that too. And if you don't want to speak up, that's okay. We can give you the answer, but don't say we didn't give you an opportunity to voice your opinion. All right, Christina, let's go ahead and we'll do the first one with them. So instead of telling them they're smart. If we praise the process, we tell them, great job, you must have worked really hard to be successful or to do well or whatever. So another one, oh, we did get somebody. That represents a great deal of work and effort. Absolutely, like recognize what they put into it. Okay, so another person praise would be, see, you are good at sewing. You got a blue ribbon on your project at the fair. So how can we praise the process instead of just the person in a case like that? All right, go ahead, Christina. Some people might be typing. I'll try to watch the chat too. Something like you worked really hard to keep your seams even or to finish your edges neatly. Find part of what their effort was and commend them on their effort for making that project a good project. Okay, you got it. I told you that you were talented. All right, again, that's person praise. You're praising the person and their talent. What would be the process? I like the way you tried all kinds of strategies until you finally got it. You know, again, you're praising their effort and you're praising what they put into getting to where they got. And then that last one, you are such a good boy, girl. That's something we hear a lot of. But instead of just praising them for being a good boy or girl, you're kind of just praising them for existing, kind of. But, you know, commend them for what they did well. You stayed at your workspace. I love that you kept concentrating or you kept working hard. And so praise that process. I've tried it. I'm not the best at doing all this. I catch myself going back to the person praise, but it really is fascinating to me that when I can remember to do the process praise, the impact it really has on the people that I'm talking to. And so give it a try. Just pick one area, maybe in your own home or with your neighbor kids or wherever. But like my kid did well on a chemistry test, but I watched him study for 3 hours. And when he got home, I started to say, wow, you're really good at chemistry. And I thought, no, that's person praise. So instead I said, hey, that 3 hours of studying yesterday paid off. And his eyes just got big. He's in 10th grade. That's like the best response I've gotten from a 10th grade 15-year-old boy, right? He really appreciated hearing that. So anyway, I do believe in it, but it's a work in progress. So give it a try. You might be surprised at what you find.
It does make a huge difference and it does take practice. So I think since Andrea and I have been doing this, we both have become more, we recognize it, that we need to praise the process more. It's not easy, but we're trying. I even practiced it with my 5-month-old granddaughter. When she reaches for someone, I don't say, good girl. I say, oh, you worked so hard. Look what you did. She doesn't understand now, but she will. And it helps me practice. Many of us shy away from challenges and get discouraged when we make mistakes. That's just kind of human nature. When we allow ourselves to do this, we are at a disadvantage in life because we end up avoiding the more difficult path and we settle for taking the easier path. Making mistakes is one of the most useful ways to learn, but it seems we spend our lives trying not to make mistakes. And this is when it's important to remember that fail really just means first attempt in learning. When we make mistakes and then we think about those mistakes, our brains develop. This doesn't happen when people don't make mistakes. We don't have those strengthening of the synapses in your brain. One middle school teacher shared that she has a bulletin board of failure in her classroom. I wish I'd had a teacher like this. She posts her own sewing project up there so that her students can see that she too makes mistakes and they can watch her as she improves through practice. Failure occurs every day, but it's how we respond to and overcome to those obstacles that leads to our success. And Andrea, I don't know if you want to briefly tell about your freestyler story if we have time. I'm not sure where we are, but I just think this is a great story about failure.
Okay, I'll keep it short. You guys are going to learn all kinds of things about me today. So
She's got great stories.
just tell me, you worked really hard to get there. I'll probably need to hear that. Just quickly, I was new to freeze drying. I was so excited. I was teaching this class. There was a demand for it in our community. I practiced at home, but the samples I used in the class had been packaged differently than the samples I used at home with my family. And I passed out some freeze dried ham. It was cooked. It was already cooked. But, and I said, oh, just look, you can actually snack on this. Just dry. It's like dried beef jerky, but it's ham. Well, I noticed very quickly that not many people were eating it. They kind of were being very discreet. They had it in the palm of their hand and their hands were lowering down. We're kind of gathered around the island in our kitchen, and I thought, okay, something's not right. So I grabbed a piece and went to take it. It was rancid. Okay. It's like I was trying to kill my people. It didn't make them sick or anything, right? But I learned right there in front of everybody that I had made a mistake. I had messed up. I was ready to crawl into a hole, but we were looking at this growth mindset stuff. And anyway, fortunately could make a little joke. I had a few people in the crowd that had had some things happen. It turned into a really great positive learning experience. And I tell you, I grew a lot from that. It's never happened again. I learned about how to approach some of these presentations. Anyway, there was a huge takeaway for it. And I am grateful now for that mistake. I was thoroughly embarrassed and, like I said, wanted to crawl in a hole, but it was a really valuable learning experience. And thank goodness I had some people in my group that helped me through that process in the learning process.
What a great example, I think. And among coworkers, among friends, especially for our children, when we normalize making mistakes, it helps them to grow and to realize that they're learning. It's just a process. Andrea was learning and she has learned. And I'm sure she has not done that again. So failure does occur all the time, but it's how we view and respond to that leads to our success. Changing mindset takes time. It's not an easy one-day process, yet it is possible. We may not be there yet, but we can be. And we're going to watch this little video by Carol Dweck, who is the author again of Mindset, as she shares with us the power of yet.
I have fallen in love with a new word, and we're doing research on it. That word is yet. So if a child says, I'm not good at math yet. I tried X and I couldn't do it yet. And what that says is that this is a skill that's acquired over time. It's not something you're good at or you're bad at. There's a learning curve, and you're on that learning curve. And when I say to you, yet, it means get back on that learning curve. So one of the worst things in society today is that some kids wear this almost badge of honor. I'm not a math person. And you have to say yet, because everyone can learn math. Everyone can get better at it. They just have to get in there and keep trying.
Okay, I love that. I use that word a lot nowadays, yet. And it kind of gives you just that reminder that you're still growing. And like she said, there's that learning curve. And there are some things that you don't have to say yet for because you're already mastered them, you're already good at them. But if you haven't gotten there, just remember yet, it's a process. So just some reminders. These are my kids out hiking and I see the path. I don't know if you guys see it, but there is a path, and same with growth mindset. There is a path we can follow as we work towards having more of a growth mindset and viewing things through the lens of a growth mindset. So just remember that seek out new challenges. And
Sorry.
So I'm waiting for.
There we go.
But seek out new challenges and let them help you grow and learn, and it will help grow your brain, like Christina said. And as we're all aging, I mean, we're different ages, but we want to keep our minds alert, and that's a good way to kind of do it, is to face new challenges. And then also be persistent. Don't give up, and remember Thomas Edison or Mr. Hines or some of these people and the things they were able to accomplish through their persistence. Another thing is how we view criticism. And I know I already forgot who it was, but it was a couple of comments about it's harder to receive criticism from some people than others. And I totally agree with that. And especially on some days, you just want to burst into tears. And then other days you're like, oh, well, that was kind of cool to hear. I'm going to work on that. Whatever. We receive it different ways. But if it's not a good day, table it for a minute, write it down and come back to it. But don't totally ignore it, because quite often we can find little tidbits of value in that and improve our processes of teaching, or improve our methods, or little parts about us. And so use that criticism view it more as feedback, and deal with it when you're having a good day, but find a way to kind of work through some of that. And then draw inspiration from other people. When I first started in Extension, one of the first things I went to his annual conference, and there was like all these people winning these cool awards. And I just was so overwhelmed. I thought, oh, how do you do all that? I was still trying to figure out my job. But as I talk to different people, one thing I have learned in Extension is people love to talk about their programs and the things they've done and learn from them, because they probably had to work kind of hard to get there. And so we can learn from their efforts and then find ways to apply efforts towards our own things. And then last but not least, well, I guess kind of last, we have this cute little video. I think, yeah, we had to make sure it was on here, from a cute little friend of ours. And he actually had a wonderful teacher that taught him in first grade about growth mindset. And so just listen to how he explains it, so that you go away from this presentation realizing, okay, if a first grader can think about it like that, then maybe I can embrace it too. So take it away.
Hello,
Reese.
my name is Reese, and I'll tell you more things about growth mindsets. So if something's hard, say, I can have a growth mindset, and then your brain will be, and if you did it, that means your brain would be bigger, which that is good. That means you will be smarter and smarter and smarter. It's really good.
If Reese doesn't inspire you to know that growth mindset is really good, we have these affirmations that also remind us, my determination and effort are the measures of my outcomes. I can find the value in every bit of feedback I receive. Everything we've talked about is here. Embracing challenges and challenging problems allows you to grow stronger. I can always do better at something if I want to, but it will take effort. That's where the yet comes in. Making a mistake is no big deal, because mistakes are opportunities to learn and grow. Remember the bulletin board of failure. Failing only means you don't understand something yet and that more effort is needed. And we have these available if you'd like them. You'll just need to contact us and we can send them to you. If you'll just take a minute and scan this QR code if you can, and let us know what you thought of our presentation. We would love to take your feedback and criticism and use it to improve what we're doing with growth mindsets. Your comments help us learn what we can do better. And also feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to share our slides with you, any other resources that we might have. We've got quite a few. And yes, thank you just for being with us today. And we wish you all the best on your path to a growth mindset.
Oh, and then Heather put in the chat there, that once you allow yourself to use the word yet, even when you're speaking about something for yourself, it'll self-consciously train your brain to be willing to keep trying. I love that. And then you're less willing to give up because somewhere you already pictured a successful end result. And there is a lot of value. That brings up a whole nother topic we could talk about, but the visualization, right? Using that word yet, Heather has a really good point. Using that word yet allows us to visualize that future. And so a lot of impact right there in that 3-letter word.
And I just want to encourage everyone, do you mind putting your slide back up with the survey? Because we all do surveys, so we know how important it is for our work. So let's go in and make sure we provide them with great feedback as well.
Thank you
Amalia,
so
are you?
much.
Oh, there we go.
Yep. Sorry, I was on mute, just talking away. Thank you guys so much for presenting today. That was wonderful information. If you don't mind emailing me those slides, we'd love to have them as a resource for the ambassadors. And then once again, if everyone can just take a minute, we're getting done just a minute early. So please, please, please take that survey for us really quick.
Yeah, that's a gift to you. So you can start thinking about what you're going to work on that you maybe don't do yet, but you're going to start doing, right? We give you 10 minutes to ponder it, ponder your life.